Welcome to 1 Minute Recess, everyone, where we take a quick but dive into conversations, news, behind-the-scenes moments that shape Nevada politics and beyond. My name's Annette Magnus.
Mayte or Maria Teresa, and together with you, we'll explore what really is happening during those 1 minute recesses, both on the floor, off the floor, and also along with WTF is going on in the world around us. So let's dive right in.
Just a reminder, let me explain. We're smack dab, not smack dab, we're in the middle of really the beginning of the Nevada Legislature, and as Maria and I have been monitoring the Nevada Legislature over the years, there's always a 1 minute recess. And what that means is either the chair or the speaker or the Senate Majority Leader will ask for a 1 minute recess. And it always goes a little bit longer than 1 minute, actually a lot, a bit longer. And so we decided to be a fun play on words. So that's why we're here, to explain all things politics, to break it down and make it easy to digest. So speaking of the Nevada Legislature, first up, as always, it's the Recess Rundown. We're doing the NV Ledge, the Nevada Legislature edition. So let's talk about that. Each week, we're going to give you a fast, no-fuss summary of what's happening at the Nevada Legislature. Give it as your cheat sheet to Carson City drama and decision-making. And since I'm sitting here in Carson City again, I'm back from Vegas over the weekend. Let's talk about the Nevada Legislature. Maria, lots coming up this week, lots to talk about. The governor decided maybe he's going to fix the budget, maybe not. We have the egg bill coming up this week, which I'm working on. I'm super stoked about it. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, and it was the first week of session last week, right?
Yep.
So now we're going into our second week. So especially since you were there, tell us what it was like, how to be up there for the first week and what people need to look forward to this second week.
Yeah, it was a weird vibe in the legislative building this week, or as we just call it, the building. It felt very different. Obviously, there was new construction in the building. There's a new cafe, the Battleborn Cafe, which opens the second week. I'm very excited about that. Apparently, the chicken's very delicious. Assemblyman Yui Wynn told me. But, there's more than just the cafe that's going on there. There is a lot of conversation around the budget. And the budget is a big conversation for two reasons. Number one, you have the Trump administration messing around with all kinds of federal funding. And if you pay attention to the budget here in Nevada, you know that we constitutionally must have a balanced budget, but also a significant portion, almost half of our budget in the state, is funded by the federal government. So that's
what?
Education, Medicaid, food banks, programs that many, many, many Nevadans rely on are funded by the federal government. And because we're such a small state and because we hate taxes, you got to pay for things. If you want nice things, you got to pay for them. And so for me, watching this budget drama play out has been really important because, again, it's not just the cuts from the Trump administration. We do have to have a balanced budget. And the budget that Governor Lombardo presented was not balanced. It was almost $300 million short. They've narrowed that down significantly from the last time we saw the budget committees meet. And they were having nighttime budget committees last week, which is, I've never seen that happen. Not the first
week of session.
Not the first
That's like
week.
a last week, second to last week thing.
Exactly. So, it's been a very intense few days. I've been hearing that legislators may have to end up cutting their bills with fiscal notes, meaning any bills that cost money and cost the state money, they may have to cut those or change them so that they get rid of the fiscal note. And we always see a little bit of that during session, but this session I think is going to be much, much worse. And so the budget is going to be looming in the background of every single conversation this session. And we better hope that the federal government gets its act together and lets the states know what they are cutting, what they're not cutting, because that could impact if we have a special session or multiple special sessions to get the budget right. And that's already part of the conversation. And that's wild.
Sounds like COVID all over again.
It feels like COVID all over again. And, some of that money is also running out now. Some of the funds that we got from COVID is running out. So some of that is sunsetting, as we call it, going away. And so that could impact the budget too. It's a lot of things happening all at once. It's like the perfect storm.
Yeah. Thanks, Trump. And Lombardo, apparently, for not being, but mostly like Trump, because even with it sounds like the decisions at the federal level is screwing us up. So if I'm a newbie, Annette, to the legislature and the budget, and it sounds like this is something I should definitely keep track of if I care about the state, how do I do that since it's popping off already?
Well, you can always follow me, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow, obviously, this podcast. We're going to be breaking it down for you. But the hashtag to follow along online for all things Nevada legislature is hashtag NVLEG, NVLeg. And that's a good way to follow along with what's going on during legislative session on social media if you can't be there 24/7. Also, all of the hearings, whether it's the budget committees, whether it's different bills, all of those hearings are broadcast live online. So you can go to the Nevada Legislative website, just Google the Nevada Legislature. It'll come up. You can also track 10 free bills in what's called Nellis. That's the bill tracker. And every Nevadan gets 10 free bills. You don't have to pay for it. So if there's something you're interested in, you can track that there. But all of the budget committees are online. You can also attend hearings in Las Vegas, Carson City, and in Elko. So most of them are all broadcast, and you can actually attend those hearings in the place where you live in Nevada. And if you're out of state, you can also watch online too. This is not closed to just Nevadans. It's open to anyone. So if you're curious about what's going on here at the legislature in our fun-filled 120-day every other year legislative session, you can follow along on there too. But I think, you're going to start seeing more policy bills start moving this week. I think they're going to start scheduling those in committees. More bills will get introduced on the floor and referred to committees so they can have hearings. So we're going to start seeing a lot of work happening this week in addition to the budget as well.
Sounds fun.
Want to talk eggs? I'm super excited about this.
That was going to be my next question, is how you talked about eggs. We've been talking about how the egg prices and all that drama. Yeah. Egg drama. Egggate. But the Nevada legislature might be able to do something super cool. And actually lower egg prices. What's that about?
Well, fun fact, I am working with the Retail Association. Everybody gasp and freak out, I know. That's one of my clients for this session. I'm super excited about it because as a progressive, and yes, I'm still a progressive, it is interesting and smart and good for progressives to also work with business to move things forward, right? So one of our progressive champions, Howard Watts, Assemblyman Howard Watts, had a bill a few sessions back to make it so that cage-free eggs were the eggs that were brought into the state of Nevada. In our former job, we supported that bill. We want to make sure that, animals are taken care of correctly. We want to make sure that, eggs are coming from hens that are treated well. We don't want any animals being abused. That is not what I wanted then. That is not what I want now. Big animal lover here. However, there is this thing called avian flu that is ravaging our hen population, our chicken population, our bird population. God willing, it doesn't go to humans. It's also been found in cows in northern Nevada now, which is not a good thing. That was an update from this past week. And so we're watching it very closely. I was just grocery shopping in Carson City at both Costco and at Trader Joe's this evening, and neither one had any eggs. Both, their shelves were completely bare, and they had limits on the eggs, right?
I was at Costco the other day, and it was empty too.
In Vegas. So two different ends of the state, completely empty, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing is we were working The Retail Association is working with Assemblyman Howard Watts, the original author of the bill, and we're working with the Department of Agriculture to create temporary exemptions so that when something like this happens, God forbid, if it happens again, and there's some sort of emergency, that we can open it up to other eggs coming into the state on a temporary basis. So this doesn't mean we're changing the law back, we're moving backwards, anything like that. But if you want to have cheaper eggs, or if you want to have eggs at all, you kind of have to have the supply to do that. And unfortunately, just having cage-free eggs is not going to solve the problem. And again, this is not the cage-free industry's problem. I want to be very clear. This is not about cage-free versus cage, none of that. This is very, very clearly about avian flu ravaging chickens. And so the blame is on the avian flu, but we also have to be able to address that in a real way, and we have to address it so that people can have access to food. Eggs are a huge part of people's diets. It's also a cheap and easy protein for a lot of people to get. And if we're going to have real solutions to this problem, not just false promises like Donald Trump makes about eggs, these are the real solutions that we need. And so it's going to be really important for this bill to move forward. It's going to be an emergency measure. The Speaker and the Senate Majority Leader both are very supportive of it. We believe the governor is very supportive of it. So we're hopeful that this bill will move fast and we can start to get the supply back up in the state of Nevada for eggs. So that's something cool that I'm working on that I'm super excited about.
Yeah, that sounds super awesome. I didn't know that it wasn't DEI's fault or something for.
Sure, well, you've got the left who's raging about now we're moving backwards and, we're trying to, do whatever to animals. That's not true. This is a temporary fix. I want to be very, very clear about that. And then you got the right, I'm sure, that's blaming trans people, pronouns, and all the other nonsense that they blame for whatever. The truth is, the fault is avian flu and dealing with this epidemic that's happening in the bird and chicken population. I've learned more about eggs, Maria, than I've ever wanted to.
Sounds like it. And also, it doesn't sound like it's the wisest time to not get communications from the CDC.
Yeah, that's helpful. Or, the World Health Organization might be a good time to be a part of that. Health information is important, not just for people, but for animals too, and making sure that our animals are properly taken care of so they can feed us. But what do I know?
Yeah, and so we can know maybe don't eat certain things. I remember there have been multiple times where like either the CDC or the World Health Organization have said don't eat meat from here or don't eat this from there because you could get sick.
Or just, like the FDA saying, hey, don't eat that broccoli because it has listeria or salmonella so you don't get sick. It's the same kind of thing. It's just these come from animals. So, I don't know. Common sense isn't so common now. And so apparently this is going to be a thing this week. It'll be very interesting to watch.
Speaking of common sense isn't so common. I was, looking up because I don't live in the Envy Ledge hashtag every day anymore. So I was like acquainting myself earlier on what the heck was going on. And apparently everyone's favorite ranty senator or assemblyman now. Is he a senator? Ira Hansen.
He's a senator, yes.
He's a senator now.
I already know who you were talking about.
And apparently the female-led and majority legislature of Nevada can't even call themselves women anymore. I didn't listen to the rant, but I just saw the tweet that he said.
So I'm going to abbreviate the rant because I do not like to repeat dumb mis and disinformation from Senator Ira Hansen. But let me recap what happened last week. Ira took to the floor to pontificate about the fact that the assembly has changed all of the placards and all of the stationery and all of the letterhead and the way we talk about our assembly members, because we're calling them assembly member instead of Assemblywoman or man. For obvious reasons. It should have been that way all along. It's not that big of a deal. This is something that's been in the works for a while now. We've been hearing about this for a while now. It literally didn't even register with me when they did it because who cares? But apparently Ira Hansen cares and some of the Republicans care. I don't get it, but what do I know? And so if you're an assembly person and you want to call yourself Assemblywoman or Assemblyman, you are still more than welcome to do so. Go ahead, call yourself whatever you want. If you're an assembly member, great. You can say Assemblywoman or Assemblyman. Have at it. Our friend Jill Dickman took it so far that she put sticky notes across the little placard in front of her office that said Assemblywoman. If that makes her feel better about herself, whatever. Then he also mentioned, and Nick and I, my husband and I, did not believe this, but we Googled it. It's true. I can't believe it. Senator apparently in Latin means old man. I didn't know that. So Ira Googled it too, apparently. And so he was saying that senator is now a gendered term and we should probably change that to, okay, I don't care. Like, change it, whatever. I guess here's my thing. I don't know how being in an uproar, being angry, being upset about calling people whatever pronouns they want or calling people whatever terms they want to identify themselves, like, it doesn't affect me day to day. If I want to call my trans friend they or them, that's what they want to be called, and I'm going to respect them. Okay, great. If an assemblywoman wants to be called Assemblywoman, I'll call her Assemblywoman. I don't care. But it is a sign of respect to call people what they want to be called. And if somebody wants to be called Assemblywoman, have at it. But assembly member should be the generic term that's used. So it's not gendered. It was always assemblyman, and they had to add the Assemblywoman. Let's not forget how this all started. There were no women in the legislature back in the day. So assemblymen was how they started. So now it's time to update that phrase and say assembly member. I don't get why we have to make a big deal about it. And again, I don't understand how making people remove pronouns from their emails, Donald Trump, or making people, say assembly member, who cares? I don't know how that lowers the price of eggs or makes my gas cheaper. And I don't think the average American really gives a shit. So maybe we need to get our priorities straight, respect people, respect what they want to be called, respect their pronouns, because it ain't impacting your day-to-day, but it is impacting theirs. And get to work doing something real, Ira. That's my takeaway from it.
Yeah, do something.
Do something real, not just pontificated. Real work for the Nevadans.
Yeah, like go and actually lower my egg prices or something.
Like our bill, which actually does that. Can we also talk about Starvos Anthony for a minute? Both ways, going to Vegas, coming home from Vegas, or coming back from Vegas. Starvos Anthony, our lieutenant governor, was on the plane with me, and the rage inside me was bubbling up because he is apparently on a quest to protect women. First of all, I don't need Starvos protecting me. No, thank you. I'm good. Last person on earth I want protecting me is Starvos Anthony. But he is protecting us from transgender athletes in sports.
Please, come on.
Thank God Starvos is here because that's my biggest fear. Nothing chaps my ass more than old white men saying they're going to protect me from my trans friends. I feel more threatened by old white men than I do by any trans person I've ever met in my life. In fact, trans people are more scared of all of us when they have to go to the restroom, when they have to live their lives, especially under the Trump administration. So spare me, Starvos. I don't need you to save me. I'm good.
And also, non-male women's sports didn't exist when men didn't give a shit about women and didn't think that they could do the sport. So it sounds like the men are the men who don't want progress are the problem.
Usually
they were the problem.
They
it's usually been if it wasn't for different laws and programs saying, oh, I don't know, universities have to have equal teams that aren't for men. That's how women got in. So spare me, because 50 years ago, you would have been there against Title IX.
Well, or DEI. That's the funniest part about all of this. They sit here and they rail against DEI, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. These are the same people. Starbucks Anthony is the same type of people who rail against DEI, these DEI programs. Did you, and you know this, I know this, but like DEI is not just about teaching people proper pronouns and stuff. It's like wheelchair access for somebody like Governor Greg Abbott to be able to get into the building to actually do his job in Texas. Or it's making sure older people don't experience ageism in the workplace. Or it's so women have equality in all the things they do because we were discriminated against by men. Weird.
Like having,
so you're protecting us, but you want to get rid of DEI? That doesn't make much sense to me. It's like you don't mean what you say, Starbucks.
Yeah, it's like lots of those DEI programs also take in women's health, especially when they, like, for example, let's make sure we have feminine products in our business so that our employees
can take time off because they're pregnant.
Yeah. Like, it's just unbelievable, the hypocrisy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm so sick of it because it is this faux outrage. They're not really outraged about DEI. It's another 3-letter acronym because they can't actually spell real words. And so they get their base all riled up about bullshit instead of, again, actually addressing things like prices of things or, I don't know, whatever. Sitting here today, I was minding my happy business in Trader Joe's, looking at an empty case of eggs. I get a message on my phone. Trump is going to do 25% tariffs on steel. Do you know how much that's going to impact us? But these
on literally
idiots
everything
are over here railing at the Nevada Legislature about Assemblywoman and Assemblyman instead of Assemblyman. Who cares? Do something real. Hold Donald Trump accountable, you weirdos.
It's like DEI and everything we just talked about is the new abortion.
Or the new CRT. Remember CRT?
Like, yeah, but like years ago, now all of a sudden they don't touch abortion because people support it.
People want it.
Yeah. But years ago, especially like when we were kids and coming up in the world, like that was the rallying cry for many, many Republicans, was bringing down Roe, going against abortion, which they succeeded. But it seems like since, one, they succeeded, and two, the tide is turning in the population, we have to switch it up and have a new scary monster you should be afraid of.
Weirdly, it always is about women in our bodies somehow. And now they want to protect us from abortion. First, it was they wanted to protect us from abortion. You don't need to protect me from abortion. I'm good. Now they need to protect us from trans people. Again, I don't need to be protected from trans people. I need to be protected from white men with guns. Trans people are the least of my worries. In fact, I welcome them. But also, when people come in your house, do you have separate gender bathrooms? Like, does Starbucks have a male bathroom and a female bathroom?
Weird. Yeah, like if...
They make no sense.
Like, do you and your wife use separate? And don't tell me that it's because you know each other.
I actually do use a separate bathroom from Nick, but not because of our gender, just because I like my own space and I rule the house. Because in our relationship, we actually do have gender equity and I make decisions in our household, just like he does. Weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, okay, back to the Envy Ledge. That was one of my rants for this week, but it was going to be in the headache part, but we could do that here. It's fine. Ira is raging about everything again. Anyways, what else is going on? Speaking of women and leave and good things that are happening, Assemblywoman, Assemblymember Selena LaRue Hatch introduced a paid leave bill, paid medical family leave bill this week. Super excited about it. One of my other clients, Moms Rising, will be working on that. We heard Steve Sebelius talk about the childcare needs coming. I think she's going to have other legislation this session too to work on some of the childcare stuff. Big shout out to Assemblymember LaRue Hatch for that, because we need to be addressing this better in Nevada. So I'm super excited to work on that this session with her. Just wanted to give her a shout out for that, because that bill will start moving. So everybody needs to watch for it. She put out a press release on her social media this week. You can check her Twitter. She tweeted about it. So did Moms Rising, but just wanted to give her a little shout out on that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Sounds like something we need.
Yep.
So speaking of Nevada, and this kind of like blends into the local lowdown where we talk about things Nevada and local that aren't necessarily NV-Ledge related, but I don't know, maybe these two things will be NV-Ledge related at some point, because we got lots of time and Trump is saying lots of shit. But as I was getting reacquainted with Nevada news today, I saw that, you know, something we had worked on before and we know a lot about, maybe rearing its ugly head thanks to another Trump administration, which is monuments and needing to cut them down or work on sizes of monuments. I didn't open up the article because we were down this road again. I can just see the end of the story again. But tell people, why are monuments important in Nevada, and why will they not cutting them down be the answer to energy problems?
Okay, first of all, let's do a little history lesson on public lands in Nevada. 87% of Nevada's land is owned by the federal government, and those are called public lands. So they're owned by all of us, literally everyone. Technically, they're actually owned by, like, you know, tribal members, but what do I know? You know, we like stole that land. Okay. Federal government owns 87% of the land in Nevada. A lot of it's used for military stuff. You know, Area 51 doesn't really exist, but it does. UFOs. We also have the test site. It has some new name. It's the test site. We have Nellis. We have the bombing range, all of it. But there's also just a lot of land that is beautiful and pristine and needs to be protected. So in our previous lives, Mary and I worked on 4 national monuments. So Tule Springs National Monument, which is out in like north-ish Las Vegas, that was done legislatively. We'll explain the difference in a minute. We have Basin and Range National Monument that was done through the Antiquities Act. We had Gold Butte National Monument, my personal favorite, Maria's too, which was done by the Antiquities Act. And then the most recent one was Aviquame National Monument, very, very southern tip of southern Nevada. Beautiful area. Both of us worked on that too. And that was done by the Antiquities Act. The difference. So you can do national monuments through legislation if your delegation, your congressional delegation, your senators, and your Congress members come together, put a bill through, and you can get it through the legislative process. But we all know that Congress doesn't really like legislating these days. So there is another process. That process is called the Antiquities Act. That was put in place by Teddy Roosevelt, President Teddy Roosevelt, back in the day when he was doing all kinds of cool stuff with lands, including national parks. And what a national monument is, it's not like a statue. It can be a statue, but usually these are big swaths of land, especially out here in the West, that need to be protected because they have cultural value, they have some sort of like environmental significance, they have art, they have indigenous art, they have all kinds of different aspects that make them high importance and high quality. Therefore, they should be protected for future generations. And so during Trump's first administration, he tried to get rid of many of those national monuments, including Basin Range and Gold Butte. He failed miserably, and we fought back and we pushed back on him because that is something that is a proud tradition and a proud heritage especially in the West. That's one of the ways we protect land. Well, now Mark Amodei, Congressman, Representative, also the gender neutral term, Representative Mark Amodei from Nevada, put in a bill at the congressional level, so at the federal level, that basically does away with the Antiquities Act and makes Congress be the only path to designating land. The Republicans have hated our public lands for years. This is nothing new. This is the same bullshit that they've tried before. I hope that Mark Amadei fails miserably like he always does, and we will be holding his feet to the fire because there are two things that I will burn things down over. It's public lands and vouchers. So if you want to see Annette go crazy, and abortion. If you want to see Annette go crazy, those are the top three. So he's going to not be able to get that through Congress, ideally. But if he does, it's bad news for our public lands. So we have to push back and we have to hold Mark Amadei accountable. So if you're watching this, give Mark Amadei a call and let him know that we don't want him pushing bills like this in Nevada because it's bad news. Now Trump wants to do another monument review. He wants to go through the Department of Interior, which is where all of our public lands are held. And he wants to basically get rid of public lands. Now, we heard this in the governor's state of the state. So this is the tie to Nevada. So the Republicans started this last year, and they were starting to bellyache about, we need more land. We need more land in southern Nevada. Otherwise, we're going to be landlocked. No, first of all, spare me.
First of all, we're already landlocked.
There's mountains around us. Second of all, we don't have the water for all that building. So let's just do the math there and be smart about it. But also, there is a whole process in place to sell off public lands. The federal government can auction them off. And there's this wonderful process called SNPLMA. It's an acronym. So Southern Nevada Land Management Act. And that when they auction off those lands, that money comes back to Clark County. Thank you, Harry Reid. And allows us to build parks and infrastructure and all kinds of stuff. But the other thing that I would challenge both the county and the cities, other municipalities, is that instead of building out, we need to be building up. And we need to be doing infill so that we're not needing more public lands. We're doing infill and filling all those blank spaces that all of us know of. Hell, you drive up Durango, there's a ton of them. So rather than new land, you're building up and you're doing infill to fill in the places that still we have land in southern Nevada. It's an excuse. It's a way to snatch our public lands. All they want to do is make money on those public lands. It's just like what they were trying to do with Bears Ears National Monument in Utah. It's a garbage scheme that the Republicans do to try and snatch our public lands back from us so we can't protect them. And we need to hold their feet to the fire and say no. So that's my long-winded, I had to explain it all, but public lands is one of my hills to die on. And it's super important in a state like Nevada since we're the 5th largest state in the country. And we have weirdos like the Bundys roaming our public lands. They should not be the only ones who have access to them. We all should have access to them. And Mark Amadei doesn't get to tell us how we get to protect them. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Also, they're an economic driver.
Yes.
Y'all.
Pristine public lands drive an economy. Recreation economy is a real thing.
Hunting, fishing, hiking, camping. We can't do that if you're drilling on it.
Also, there's no water to drill, you weirdos.
They don't know how things work.
Anyways, so that's a little like state and federal government kind of working together there for you. So it's part MB-Ledge, part national nonsense.
Yeah. You want to move into fun topics of what the fuck is happening around the world?
I mean, okay. We have to. It's been a long week, month. Go on.
And Trump has only been there for a few weeks. So, and we'll not just tackle the serious stuff, which we'll start with, but we can also tackle whatever is going on our screens or off screens that we find interesting. But first off, because I want to ask, or get a rant from both of us on the tariffs. I read a good piece of news from the world. It's not from the US. It's from the world. The Baltic states are going to disconnect from the Russian power grid, and they're going to move to the European Union power grid. I was scrolling through BBC and I'm like, why is this not like a huge headline? It was like a little like, oh, by the way, the Baltics are disconnecting. And I'm like, that's like a really, really good news and something worthy of celebrating.
Yeah.
So Putin gets screwed again by the Baltics and the European Union. You got to look to the European Union and the Baltics now for good news.
I mean, that's where we should all live at this point. They're in Mexico, so it's fine.
Yeah, so, and what does that mean? Of course, it literally means that they don't have to be beholden to the Kremlin for their power if once they make the disconnect, and they'll be one step closer to being really connected with the European Union and giving an extra middle finger to Putin. Which, by the way, Annette, you shared this meme with me, and I want to know if you know, who do we give our taxes to this year? Is it to Musk or just straight to Putin?
Well, since Elon
Those
Musk
are the
has
ones in charge.
stolen all of our data illegally, because now apparently him and his 12th graders are just messing around in different departments, Department of Ed, USAID, all of these. I don't know. It's not even to pay my taxes, a la Donald Trump. How about that?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll just do a Donald Trump and not do anything.
Rules don't matter. He told me my gas was going to be free and my eggs were going to be cheap. He lied to me.
None of that has happened.
So therefore, I shouldn't have to pay my taxes either, right, Donald? Isn't that how that works?
That's right. According to him, yeah, that's how it works.
This past week, watching it all go down, I had Republicans around me saying stuff like, I love the chaos. Listen, I'm always down for some chaos. Love chaos. And I'm of the opinion at this point, okay, well, maybe we do need to just burn it all down and rebuild it because maybe it wasn't that good to begin with, right? Always been racist institutions, always been problematic institutions. Okay, maybe we do need to burn it down. I mean, I wasn't going for that, but that's what we got to do. But now I sit back and I'm like, you really think this is good? You think this is good? You think Elon Musk having access to your social security number is good chaos? That's not what I call good. College students who work for Elon Musk, who have zero security clearance, have access to trillions of dollars of our social security that you and I will probably never see anyways, but because, it's going to get pissed away by Donald Trump. But that doesn't sound like a good idea to me. To just give some randos access to our private data. I mean, I know that Trump's already doing that with Russia. He's literally doing that with TikTok. But it just, I don't know. That part of the chaos that these Republicans say they love so much didn't sit well with me.
It sounds like stealing. Just to put it bluntly, it sounds like stealing. And to all those Republicans are like, but this is great. What if there was a non-crazy, racist, South African Nazi like Musk doing this, and instead, I don't know, a sane Democrat one and a Democrat president, and they came in and did it. Would they like it? No, they would be raging.
It would be
at how terrible this is.
The roof about government overreach.
Yes.
They whine about government overreach all the time. Again, hypocrites. They're all hypocrites. They want less government, but they want Elon Musk in there stealing our data. That makes sense. Great job, everyone.
Yeah, that guy doesn't even know how to do anything. I don't want him anywhere near my data. He won't release
the safety information on the Cybertruck, on his own vehicles. I told Nick today, I was like, well, that doesn't bode well for the safety administration that oversees cars. Bye-bye seatbelts.
So, you know what's funny is an interesting theory. We were talking about Russia earlier. But an interesting theory that it's obviously a people commenting on the news theory on the social medias. So it doesn't mean it's true. It just means that people are wondering if this is why. One of the reasons why they're doing this, other than because they want to steal everything and give it basically Putin and steal all your money. But also, and that USAID specifically was going to look into Musk fucking up Ukrainians over Starlink and like turning off Starlink, and that they were going to start looking into him individually, even through the administration. And that's why he just went in and targeted them first.
Yes. Never quite understood how Republicans can support this, because eventually, if they're going into all of these things, they want to get rid of Department of Education because they want to privatize it, which is insane, and we should not do that. If they're going to look into all these government institutions, they're going to have to look into the Department of Defense. They're eventually going to have to look into the military. And you know how all of these Republicans love their Department of Defense and military. And listen, I'm not saying anything bad about our military, but what I'm saying is, if you're going to look into one, you got to look into them all. And so what do we call it now? Doggy, not Doge, because I don't want to get
Doggy.
Yeah, Doggy. Doggy apparently is gonna have to do its job fully if it really wants to expose all this quote unquote government corruption.
Look into those SpaceX contracts.
Please. I did want to get your reaction to this because this was something funny that happened this week to me, and it relates to all of this, but it ties it back to the state of Nevada. And I want to get your I haven't told you this before this because I wanted to get your unfiltered reaction to this. I had a Republican tell me this week that now we need a Doge to come and dig into all of the government waste in the state of Nevada. Go.
First of all, fuck no. Because also, this is what pisses me off about these gullible people. Like, they truly are gullible snowflakes. Tell that Republican that Republican is a gullible snowflake, because we literally have things in place to look into what it's called, what you're doing right now. Biannual legislative sessions where, I don't know, you get to look at the budget. Maybe you should do your job
line by line.
The budget. No, we literally have a thing. You want to make the government smaller, but you're going to create something else to duplicate something that the government already... we don't have... If you want to create another agency, you know what agencies get their money from? Taxes, aka revenue, because we're too afraid of calling them taxes here. Think of it like a tariff. You know, you want to make more money, you want to do a thing, and so you gotta... No! Are they...
Wait. Also, all that government waste, budget in the state of Nevada is like couch pennies. We basically dig out the couch pennies from the cushions to fund our schools, but we have so much government waste here.
We don't have a government. Let's start there.
Barely functions in the state of Nevada.
You have legislators sharing apartments, like full-grown adults that many of them have
half obsession.
They're up there sharing couches and shit because you don't have the money to literally leave your job for a few months and then just not get paid any. That's fucking ridiculous. That's so fucking stupid.
As soon as I said it, I was like, as soon as this person said it to me, my instant reaction was anger. And I was like, that's not how any of this works, first of all. Second of all, we have whole committees in the legislature to go line by line through the budget, have people present, make sure the money's being spent correctly. But if you look at our budget, if the state of Nevada, to a budget like California or New York, that are massive budgets, you want to know why? Because they tax people. They raise revenue, unlike what we do.
Even Texas probably has a better budget than ours.
They have nice things, and we don't. Nick was telling me when he was in Texas a few weeks ago, and I'm not a proponent of this, but I will say they have toll roads, a little bit of sections of roads in Texas to pay for their actual infrastructure.
Yeah, Oklahoma too. Yeah,
we're not finding couch pennies to like cobble something together. Why when they say there's so much government waste in Nevada, it literally, it kills me. It kills me. We can barely pay our freaking teachers. But we have government
Yeah.
waste. You're crazy.
And everyone from our governor to our legislators. Like, it's ridiculous. And, you know, before they say, oh, it's because they don't want us looking into, no, I've always been for this, especially at probably, and this isn't even a state thing, it's a Clark County School District thing. And guess where that has gotten light shed on it? At the Nevada Legislature.
Because they do audits.
Exactly. And you would get the education committees and the finance committees coming together and doing massive hearings where they haul in Jesus Hara, who's no longer there, but back at the last session, and would just grill him on what the heck was going on.
Part of it too is like, if you're so concerned about all this government waste and you're so concerned about what's happening in the, budget, or why don't you go to a freaking hearing? A lot of times, Maria and I were the only ones watching or sitting in those hearings. If you
Literally
know what's going on with your government and you're so hell-bent on auditing and knowing what's going on, maybe just to attend, because I can guarantee you this person has never attended one of those hearings. So if you're so hell-bent on government waste, why don't you go sit through a hearing and see for yourself? That's my challenge to these Republicans. Actually participate.
And go up during, because you are able to do this. Like, if you say, well, they never talk about, you can, every meeting, every committee has public comment sections where you get to bring up something that is not on the agenda. So you could, if you don't see a bill or a thing, meeting, a audit, or anything that doesn't deal with what you think is important, go talk about it. Say, y'all should do something about it.
Love the people who whine. That's my favorite.
That's what
it's always been my favorite. These people bitch and moan about the government's not working, blah, blah, blah. What have you done today to participate in your government? Is my challenge to everyone listening on this. What have you done to actually hold your government accountable? Until you do something, you can shut up, because I don't want to hear it from you. If you don't actually show up, and I'm physically come to the building. You can watch online. You can do the little Nellis online poll. Hell, you can call your legislator. There's phones that exist in that building, and you can hold them accountable. To Twitter, you're doom scrolling all night long anyways. Why don't you do something productive?
Yeah. You can also, if none of that flows through, there's this thing called letters and emails. It's where you write down your thoughts and feelings and concerns and mail it off, snail mail or email, to your legislator, your governor, etc. Whiners. Oh boy, we need a breather after that.
Can we talk about Doge, whatever the fuck it's called, and it being all held up in the courts? Because I think that's been hilarious this week. At least the courts still matter, Maria.
Yeah, that's good job, courts.
Truly, it's the only thing standing between the American public, democracy, and Donald Trump at this point.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a thing called the law. They are such fans of people doing things legally. Doesn't sound like they're doing much of what they're doing at Doggy, very legally. Like how Musk came.
I don't think anything that Elon Musk does is legal. He doesn't think he gets to play by the rules. Again, that's why I just think I shouldn't have to pay my taxes. They don't play by the rules. Why should I have to? I didn't even vote for them. And I say them on purpose.
Exactly. And vote for them. Them theirs.
Okay, let's talk about these stupid ass tariffs that Trump is announcing on Monday. Because I'm really irritated about this. He's already backtracked on those tariffs. Again, that is a loss for Donald Trump and a win for Mexico and Canada. I want to be very clear on that. They were already doing the things that he asked them to do, and he backtracked because people were pissed about it. Americans were pissed about it. But let's talk about the new steel and aluminum tariffs. So you want your Coke to go up? You want your Dr. Pepper to go up?
Your car?
You want your car to go up? You want your house to go up? You want building materials to go up? Aluminum's in a lot of shit. So is steel. Talk about it, Maria.
Literally in a lot of stuff. I'm looking at my
25%. This is more than the last stupid ones he proposed.
Yeah, and this is, I believe, if I read it correctly, from all, like it's just on the product that isn't coming from the US will have this tariff. Also, just as an example that, and I can't believe I'm using this example, to show that the tariffs will be paid by the consumer.
Always do.
We'll put this in the chat, a link to this, but Shein customers, because Shein is from China, and their tariff did go
Temu.
through. Temu is Chinese as well. So, because literally the stores are Chinese, and so they are taking the products, they're making them there, and then they're shipping them to you. And they are now, and people are really mad about it. And one of these people was a Trump voter herself, and she's pissed that now Shein is like a debt collector asking her to pay the tariff because they're like, I'm not paying it. It's your stupid president that is charging it, and you're the customer. So here, pay a tariff for me to ship you products from China. And she's literally hassling probably the poor support employees at Shein who probably don't even get paid, knowing that Shein is a criminal enterprise. And when she should be bugging the White House and Trump and the guy she voted for. But that's exactly what's going to happen to this tariff, is that, especially if you say local cars aren't made here. Not true. Thanks to the Biden and Obama administration, the two past good administrations, they actually got lots of factories to come back into the US and some to build, like in Tennessee. And sure, they don't build as much as maybe a lot of cars in Mexico, but they do build enough. And those cars are definitely getting sold here, I'm sure. And those prices are going to go up.
Any American thinks that these tariffs are anything but Donald Trump's fault puzzles me. It just
and a tax
blows my mind.
It's a tax.
Again, we said this the other day. When I agree with Rand Paul that tariffs are a tax, because tariffs are a tax, friends, you know I don't agree with Rand Paul on much of anything about life. But in this case, he is 100% right. Trump run on this, and none of the Republicans called him out on it because they were a tax when he was running, and they're a tax now that he put these tariffs in place. Y'all, Google who you vote for. That's all I know what to tell you. And do your homework. If you don't understand a term like tariff, maybe Google it before you go vote for somebody. And then don't blame other governments for the nonsense that our government is putting in place. This is Donald Trump's fault. He needs to own it. Period.
Yeah, period. Ridiculous. So, before we wrap, Annette, tell me, what are you listening to? Let's talk about non-news and politics. What's on your screen? What are you? What's your?
I have a lot of Bravo that I've been watching, especially being up in Carson City. I've caught up, thank God. Right now, I'm watching The Score. So this airs on Wednesday. Just so you know, I'm currently watching the Eagles beating the Chiefs. And while
are they winning?
Yeah, by a lot. The Eagles are winning. And while I'm sad for Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift's boyfriend, I am kind of excited that Patrick Mahomes and his Trump-loving wife are going down. So can't help but cheer for the Eagles a little bit. Yay! Also, I'm tired of seeing the Chiefs win. So that's a good thing. But yeah, Bravo. Southern Charm has been a real good season this year. It's been one of my favorites. Summer House is coming up. I'm super stoked about Summer House. One of my very favorite shows on Bravo. New York, Real Housewives of New York just wrapped up. Really good season. Interesting end, though. One of the characters, she had kind of a problematic end, so that was interesting. And then Nick and I have been really focused on The Traitors. I really like that show because it's on Peacock as well. It's very political without being political. It's got a lot of reality show characters, but also a lot of game characters. So former Survivor winners, former Big Brother winners, things like that. So we've officially watched season 1 and 2. We went back and watched those, but we're in the middle of season 3. Freaking Tom Sandoval's an idiot. Me and Donna have been commiserating about that. And I just don't think the Traitors on on season 3 are that smart. Actually, I think season 3, they're all pretty stupid generally. They're really kind of dumb as rocks. And so watching that has been a little bit painful because I'm like, why are you doing this? So basically, the premise of the show is you have like traitors that the host picks, and then the faithfuls have to root out who the traitors are. So it's a little bit like a witch hunt. And I, of course, always vote for the traitors and I always root for the traitors. And Nick, being Nick, always roots for the faithfuls, which are lame. Um, so we kind of fight about that a little bit, but both sets, the faithful and the traitors this season, just kind of lame. Not doing very good. They're not very smart. So anyways, that's what's going on in my world. That's what I'm watching. That's when I also love a lot of like stuff on Instagram right now. There's one Kay and Tay. I really like them. They have a cute kid that I watch a lot.
Mm.
You know, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What outside of work are you doing right now, Maria?
I am, for the first two episodes, I mentioned I'm reading the newest not edition, but the newest addition to the Empyrean book series by Rebecca Yarros, which is like Game of Thrones, How to Meet Your Dragon, and Harry Potter Had a Child. And it's amazing, and I'm almost done with this book. And I cannot believe, one, what the end might be, because last time I said I'm halfway through, I'm past the halfway point, and...
Did you check the end like I do?
No. No. Because, one, I don't want to spoil it, because I want to... And I also don't want to have a heavy cloud over my head, because it seems like it's going to be a very sad ending, according to the internet forums and world of people who are getting to the end or have gotten there. But one thing, if anyone out there is reading it, I got to the point where we know the main character, Violet Sorrengail's, her second signet, her second power. And it's one. Clark County School District trustee Brandy Zamora will know that I told her, well, I didn't tell her what the power was, but I had a big theory in the second book, definitely, that her second power would be what it basically is. And I'm so excited when I got to that point. I was like, I knew it. I told her this was important. I told anybody that reads this book, and the dreams make a lot of sense now. And they did for me before, and I'm like, it's unbelievable. And it blew my mind. But yeah, it is. I love that book. The next book won't come out until 2026. And I'm kind of sad about it.
So it's like Game of Thrones. It's making you
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah. But it will, George R.R. Martin, this woman will actually write the book and put it out, unlike George R.R. Martin, who still hasn't done the last one for the series. But yeah, it is. I am so excited to finish it so I can actually know what the end is. But I'm frightened. I'm scared. I'm getting to the point where they have to go to Dratheus. If people are reading, you know what that's about. Oh my god. And I'm totally scared.
Should have read the ending. It would have made it more exciting.
No, you can't. You have to get there with Violet, especially because it's all her stream of consciousness. It's amazing. But yeah, I love that book. One of the reasons why, and you know, it's funny, this book, I wasn't sure I would love it so much, this series, but it's really cool because not only is the heroine, not only is it a heroine, but the protagonist, the male protagonist, is a man of color. It's very clear that is. There's lots of representation. I mean, this book, Trump would hate it because there's literally a they, them in there. And their color is like, they have like neon hair color. And they have women of color and all of that. And then the female protagonist, she has a chronic illness, talking about DEI.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she has a chronic illness, and it's a chronic illness that the author has. And she was like, I rarely see, especially, a lot of female heroines are, strong and beautiful, and that's awesome, and many women can be, but you rarely see a female heroine who has to struggle in her daily life. And most women at some, for one reason or another have to struggle. And so you get this young woman who is really strong, because she's lived with pain her whole life. Like, her joints are literally dislocating every single day. And everybody thinks she's weak and she's not going to be able to make it because she's not the typical picture of a strong person, but she is literally one of the best and is going to save everyone, hopefully.
Well,
but yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Go read that book, everyone. What's it called again?
It is Onyx Storm is the latest book, but it's the Empyrean series, and the Empyrean is the dragon government. And I'm so excited to actually get more books for those books to come out, because I want to know more about the dragons are sassy AF, by the way. Also, they like talk. They like actually talk to their writers, and they're super sassy. There's one who's a young adolescent, Andarna. She is sassy. She yells at everyone, and because she's a teenager now, but she is ridiculous and amazing. But yeah, the dragon attitudes is one of the big reasons why this is so entertaining. But Annette, we've talked a little. I think we pretty much covered our hot takes and headaches with the damn
I have
tariffs.
one more. I have one more.
You have one? What is it?
I have a personal hot take and headache. I've been saving it for this moment. The other day in Carson City, I was on my driveway in the front of my house, and it had been snowing, and it was like slushy snow, so it was slippery. And this driveway of mine in Carson City it's just super slippery. So for everybody watching, including Lonnie out there, yes, it needs salt because it's slippery as hell. And my car slips up it, so I knew it was slippery. So I was getting ready to go to the airport. I had jeans on, but I may have had my Birkenstocks on because I still am a Las Vegan through and through, and I don't live in snow because snow is dumb. And it's sky trash, as I like to call it. Well, I was going to get my trash can about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I go down my driveway, and I bite it. Like, I bite it. My feet come right out from under me. I land on my left knee, which hurt like hell because I am 40 years old and I am not equipped for the snow. And then I fall back like on my my right ass cheek. Now my back's all fucked up too. And up the sidewalk walks this young man, probably 15 or 16 years old. And he keeps his head down with his little hood on. And I'm like, sir. And I just I freeze for a minute. Like, and now I'm like down. My legs are all like all over the place. Thank God I'm a little bit flexible for 40 years old. And this young man doesn't even look at me. Doesn't say, are you okay? Have you hurt yourself? Are you dead? And I'm like hurting, massively hurting. This young man, and I'm not calling him what I have called him in text messages, just looks at me like, are you crazy? And I look at him and I say, are you even going to ask if I'm okay?
You told him?
Yes, of course I freaking told him. I was like, what? You saw me literally slip out from under me, land on my knee, laying on my ass. I am clearly not a young person. I'm old, but I'm not young. My jeans are all wet now because it's pouring rain out and it's icy, slushy, icy snow. I can hardly get up. And he just looks at me and goes, are you okay? After I yell at him.
After. How proactively.
I'm not okay. Marie, she kept fucking walking.
He heard no okay and was like,
and you know me. I'm not quiet. I am not demure. I am not subtle. I literally said, oh, okay. And the little child kept walking up the street and left me sitting with my knee swollen as hell on the driveway and did not help me up.
Sounds about right.
This is why our country is going down the shitter.
That's right. That's right.
In what world do you not teach your children, all children, if somebody hurt, care if they're young, old, small, fat, whatever, if I saw somebody fall, I don't care who it is, Republican, Democrat, whatever, I don't care. If somebody falls on their driveway, I am going to run over to them and make sure they are okay and help them up. In what world are we teaching our kids that they don't have to help people?
Yeah. 2025.
What kid? He was like 15, 16 years old. In what world is that okay? Teach your kids better.
Yeah,
Teach your
that's
kids
right.
better.
Oh boy,
Ugh.
that is
Yeah,
that is
that
both a
was a
hot take
headache
and
and
a
a
take.
hot take, and I've been saving it all weekend to tell you because I was freaking pissed off about it.
Oof, that sucks. And also,
Think about it. Like, if your mom, the queen, was outside and somebody saw her fall and they didn't help her, you'd be furious. Like, what if I
I
was
would
actually older, right?
I would be livid. And also, we have a Republican neighbor, and
All the time.
he has seen her, like, when she's been out there, and I'm, like, going to go help her. I have heard him say, "Do you need help?" And because
Yes,
she's her. No, I don't need help. No, I don't need help. Mom, let him help. Because clearly there's not enough. And he is a total, like, hardcore.
gentleman about it.
Yeah.
But in
And
what way?
I love that. But yeah, in the world where 15-year-olds aren't taught to actually do that. That's basic humanity.
And again, I'm not saying he had to like crouch down and make sure I was like, no. He could have just said, "Hey, are you okay?" And I go, that would have been probably enough for me.
Yeah.
You couldn't offer me a hand. You see me slipping trying to get up now, and you just keep walking? Like, in what world is that okay? No, teach your kids better. We have to teach our young people better. Ugh.
Wow.
Just laugh. He didn't even
It's
ring too. Something. Tell me to go fuck myself. I don't know. Something. Just give me some sort of reaction. Don't just keep walking by like it didn't happen.
Yeah, that's the worst part. Because, like, at least if you would laugh and be like, "You okay down there?" Or, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
I'm assuming it was funny, right? Thank God I didn't really hurt myself. My knee is still pretty swollen, but thank God I really didn't hurt myself. But like, would you do that for somebody who was 80? What if Granny outside fell? You just gonna leave her in the driveway?
No,
My
no.
God. I'm
He's
slamming
probably
my
got
hands over here like Joe Lombardo because I'm so pissed.
That's right.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, I saved
Oh,
that just for the podcast. You're welcome, everyone at home. Picture me slipping with my
Jesus.
Birkenstocks on. Yes, I know I shouldn't wear Birkenstocks on the driveway. I don't want to hear about it. Don't judge me.
Yeah.
We listen and we don't judge, as the trend says.
Well, this has been a fun one after week, sounds
Lots
like.
going on. We're gonna have another guest next week. Super excited. You're gonna want to tune in next week. Lots going on. There'll be lots more for the NB Ledge. But we're gonna go in next week, Maria. You want to talk a little bit about that? What we decided? I'm super excited for it. We'll see if
Yeah.
he accepts first before we say the name.
Yes. We are potentially having someone that is instrumental in what you talked about in actually lowering the prices of eggs and hopefully actually getting eggs into the state of Nevada. I won't say who. They are involved with it. And I say they to keep it mysterious, by the way, if anybody's like,
Also, this person has never
They,
been able to be on any of our shows or any of our former podcasts because he's not exactly one of us. And
but he is fun.
I got feedback in the chat and via text message that y'all want to hear from the other side. So we are going to give that to you. You want it? We'll give it to you.
And I will say this.
Yes, we'll see. Hi, everyone. Have a good week. Yay.